Hi, I'm Chad Bettis, author of The Disciple Making Parent, and this is my audio blog where I read some of my blog posts in audio format for your convenience. In today's episode, we want to be thinking about understanding just war theory. And now, I want to stay in my lane of family discipleship, but part of our job as parents is to teach our children well and help them recognize lies. And so I think there's some current situations today where the media is covering up and not talking about what has become known as just war theory. I remember one of the first times my children came home to proudly report on what they had learned in history class. As they talked, I thought to myself, that isn't history. That happened in my lifetime. Everyone knows that. Except, of course, my children didn't know it. They needed to be taught it. I find myself thinking of this as I watch the coverage of the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. Either deliberately or out of ignorance, many are ignoring hundreds of years of our understanding of what a just war is. Yes, there is such a thing as just war theory. This guided our military and countries around the world. But of course, that information must be passed on to a new generation. If you have young adults in the home, this might be a good time to learn about the subject and explain it to them. And there are many resources that I could have used, but the excerpt below is quoted directly from the ESV Study Bible. So let's start with a definition of war. War is a large-scaled armed conflict between countries or between groups within a country aimed at changing or dividing established government. Throughout history, wars have frequently been started by rulers seeking to expand their territory and power. But wars can be started for a variety of economic, political, religious, or ethnic reasons. So that is a definition of war. What is just war? Over time, the just war ethic has developed a common set of criteria that can be used to decide if going to war in a specific situation is right. These include the following. 1, a just cause. Is the reason for going to war a morally right cause, such as defense of the nation? Number 1, a just cause. Number 2, competent authority. Has the war been declared not simply by a renegade band within a nation, but by recognized competent authorities within the nation? So number 2, a competent authority. Number 3, comparative justice. And that means it should be clear that the actions of the enemy are morally wrong and the motives and actions of one's own nation in going to war are, in comparison, morally right. So it's comparing the justice between the aggressor and the enemy. Comparative justice. Number 4, right intention. Is the purpose of going to war to protect justice and righteousness rather than simply to rob and pillage and destroy another nation? So right intention. Number 5, last resort. Have all other reasonable means of resolving the conflict been exhausted? As a last resort. 6, probability of success. Is there a reasonable expectation that the war can be won? Number 7, proportionality of projected results. Will the good results that come from a victory in war be significantly greater than the harm and loss that will inevitably come with pursuing the war? Proportionality of projected results. And number 8, right spirit. Is the war taken with great reluctance and sorrow at the harm that will come rather than simply with a quote-unquote delight in war? Well, this next section is very important. It's entitled, How is a Just War Fought? In addition to these criteria for deciding whether a specific war is just, advocates of just war theory have also developed some moral restrictions on how a just war should be fought. These include the following. Proportionality in the use of force, which means no greater destruction should be caused than is needed to win the war. So proportionality in the use of force. Number 2, discrimination between combatants and non-combatants. Insofar as it is feasible in the successful pursuit of a war, Is adequate care being taken to prevent harm to non-combatants? 3. Avoidance of evil means. Will captured or defeated enemies be treated with justice and compassion, and are one's own soldiers being treated justly in captivity? 4. Good faith. Is there a genuine desire for restoration of peace and eventually living in harmony with the attacking nation? If a war is just, it should not be viewed as morally wrong but still necessary, nor as morally neutral, but as something that is morally right, carried out with sorrow and regret, yes, in obedience to responsibilities given by God. Those who serve in a just war should understand that such service is not sinful in God's sight, but that they do this as, quote, God's servant for your good, which is found in Romans 13:4, and you can see that other places. Conclusion. It seems to me that current wars involve numerous violations of these principles. For example, by hiding weapons among non-combatants, there's a deliberate violation of number 2. But in this upside-down thinking of our day, this is ignored. And like I said before, I want to stay in my lane of family discipleship, but part of rightly influencing our teens is helping them become discerning to the worldviews of those who report the news. So encourage your young adults to keep these principles in mind as they watch the news. Thank you for listening to the Disciple Making Parent audio blog. We have a number of other resources on the website to help you equip your teen. So head on over to the disciplemakingparent.com to search for resources that can help you equip your teen. And while you're there, make sure you download the audiobook of The Disciple Making Parent. We are on a mission to equip parents to pass the gospel to their teenagers so that those young people will grow up to make disciples of all the nations and to stand as salt and light in our corrupt culture. We want to do everything we can to make you successful. Thanks for listening.